Hello, my beautiful ducklings. It's your friendly Gruppeteer, and I'm back, but I'm not alone. Who's with me today?
A disembodied
A
voice.
disembodied voice, and I found one myself. Yes, indeed, with my magical spells and potions, I have brought upon the spirit of StevRayBro, as you may know him from YouTube. He does animations, he does quick draws, he does everything that I wish I could do but can't.
I'm a
Stev,
part-time ghost.
he's a part-time ghost, full-time ghoul, of course. And, most of that time is spent running from Scooby-Doo and the rest of the Mystery Gang.
Like zoinks, man.
just like that. So I brought Stev onto the show today, totally not by kidnapping his ghost spiritness and bringing it into my room, but by bribing him. But by nicely asking him if he would like to be on. Stev, what are we talking about today?
The nice car you got me?
Oh, not the other thing we're talking about today.
We're talking about Stev Universe? No, Steven Universe.
Stamp Universe. It's like a forum for collecting stamps.
Our new favorite show. I think it's safe to say that we both truly love this series.
Yeah, and safe to say that you watching this video probably truly love the series, or you just want to see someone more talented than me on one of my videos, which is most likely the case, but I would hope not, because we love this show so much. Characters, amazing, backgrounds, stylish. First cartoon done by a woman on Cartoon Network.
Oh man, Rebecca Sugar.
Great. It's like everybody that came out from like the Adventure Time Flapjack things, like Patrick McHale goes on to make Garden Wall. Rebecca Sugar goes on to make the Steven Universe. I hope Ian goes on from Steven Universe to make something really good too.
That'd be pretty cool. I know that, I found the secret to success of being an animator is clearly, if you look at Rebecca Sugar and Alex Hirsch's wardrobe, it's red and blue flannel.
Yeah. I hear that's pretty successful, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Lumberjacks do pretty well, I guess.
No, it was just really funny because there's a bunch of photos I've seen them in, and they're always wearing red and blue flannel.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not very good at talking, collabing with people on screen, but this is a Gruppet Studios video, so we roll with the punches. So, Stev, first thing, what do you love about this show? What brings you back to it time and time again?
Well, me personally, I love the bright colors and just the overall art style. There's the fact that they don't go over correcting a lot of stuff. A lot of characters tend to go off model, and there's this a theory on just being imperfection, just being imperfect, and they just let it go. There's so many different shots where Steven is clearly not drawn the correct way,
yeah,
and they just let it happen because let things happen, and then it's just the overall. I love that we get to see Steven be a kid and see the world through his perspective, and we're seeing him grow. We've seen in the last 10 episodes a huge shift in his character. It's awesome.
Yeah, when you rating kid characters is something that is done a lot, but so very frequently is it done correctly. You have your Ed and Eddies, and you have your codenamed Kids Next Doors, you have your Steven Universes, but you see a kid on I slipped from my mind, the Calvin and Hobbes type kind of kid. He's a kid. He's not Manny from Modern Family. He's not super sophisticated and all this and all that. He doesn't make adult jokes. He enjoys being a kid. He doesn't enjoy, responsibilities there and, burdens like having a, mom who kind of saved the entire world, although I don't know if we can relate with that one, are still there. It's just they're handled in a way how a kid would handle them, not not a grown adult, a growing adult. And
no, sorry. Just a little bit of a delay here and there, so I feel like you finish the sentence and I start, and then I would interrupt, and I don't mean to.
You can go.
Okay. But yeah, there's because you mentioned different cartoons, and you mentioned Kids Next Door or Matt, the Modern Family thing, where they're not playing kids. the joke on that is the fact that the kids are being not kids.
Yeah.
The kids next door kids are literally like acting like a military faction, which is not how kids work. Or then you have like other shows like Ben 10, which tend to write kids in a very realistic but takes the not so appealing aspect of a 10-year-old, where like arrogant, thinks the world revolves around them type of thing. And then you have like this humble, nice Steven, which is just the positive parts of being a kid, the seeing the world so much larger than what he is, and filtering things and having different logic than we would normally have.
Yeah, like I haven't watched. Have you seen Clarence?
I have not actually.
Yeah, I haven't. People tell me the main character of the show, probably his name's Clarence, is written like a kid. But the thing with that that's cool, and there are relatable scenarios probably in that show. I'm gonna relate this more to Ed, Edd n Eddy, like the relatable scenarios in that show, just being a kid. I didn't exactly swindle people out of Jawbreakers, but you know what I mean by that. But when given like this cool fantasy element of like these magical beings of crystals and gems and all that stuff, and then instead of putting a character like that's not a relatable subject. You don't walk outside with your magic crystal people. So if you put a relatable character in that scenario, it makes the scenario a lot more realistic, even as silly and far-fetched as it may be, and it like shows how all that fantasy and amazes a 10-year-old kid, because that's just an amazing thing to someone like that.
Oh no, he's super relatable. Like I totally I could see if I was in that situation at the age that I was, I would probably react in a very similar way. It's the characterizations in the show and the character studies you get to see are just so good. Not even just Steven, but like you have these like spectrum of other characters with the gems and other female. Well, first off, other female characters that are written like characters
in a cartoon. Surely you jest. Next you're going to be saying the characters wear different clothes in every episode.
Some of them.
Which happens sometimes, Connie.
Mostly the female characters, really. That's a weird trope. It's just, there's like this impression, maybe like the stereotype that females care more about fashion and guys don't. So like only females wear different clothing in cartoons, and then all male characters stay the same.
Anybody that watches my channel knows I pretty much wear this all the time. And as someone who's seen Stev in his ghost-like form, I know his ghost-like glow, is probably from not, changing his shirt.
As a ghost, I'm beyond clothing.
It's a hipster ghost shirt, beyond clothing before it was cool. That would be good. Someone make that for us. Make that for us. I'll wear it.
Can I tell like a small story real quick?
Oh yeah, sure.
So as a bigger, chubbier guy that was once living, in my living form, I was a chubbier, curly-haired guy named Steven, and tend to like effeminate colors myself because I just purples, pinks, and such go with me. Mm-hmm. A lot of my friends, like people that I hadn't really, like casual friends, Facebook friends, thought I snuck off and made a cartoon show about myself.
That's great. You should have went with it. You should be like, oh yeah, guys, that's me. That's me.
Oh yeah, Mr. Egotistical over here. Gotta make a show about myself, hanging out with a bunch of hot gems.
Yeah, I get with the girls. With the girls.
All right, so here's the obvious question that we have to ask: what is your favorite crystal gem?
Garnet.
Garnet, just straight up.
There's not much of a comparison because Garnet's cool as long as she has her glasses on. She freaks me out when the 3-eye thing. Pearl is probably the most relatable of the gems as someone who's responsible for my little siblings. I don't know if that would be relatable universally. Not that I don't have parents or anything. But still, what was that? Still have to watch over, like other people. And honestly, this has gotten me a lot of hate mail, but Amethyst really doesn't do it for me sometimes. Like her voice, I know the voice actors were chosen for their singing talents, but her voice, like the kind of cackly sort of jerky persona, even though there's a reason for it. It doesn't really do it for me that much.
For me, it's actually funny because going into it without like actually seeing anything of the show, just by design, I thought I was going to hate Pearl, be okay with Garnet, and love Amethyst. Like I was going in thinking Amethyst is definitely going to be like as terms of like attractiveness, Amethyst is my type of like girl, And actually, I think I'm most relatable to Amethyst. I've been the little too passionate about certain things, and then getting like I wouldn't say exiled from a group before, but like I've definitely been shunned away for a bit and had to like take a moment, be by myself, and then come back to a group. But like I found I think Pearl might be my favorite, and I went in thinking I was going to hate Pearl. But I think her raw emotions makes her super relatable, not in a mothering way, but just in the she's trying to keep herself together, and there's definitely cracks showing. And she's such an endearing character to me. And then obviously Garnet is just this really, really cool character. She has obviously the best lines in the show, hands down.
And
it's
her
just
voice
I wish I
is just
saw
awesome.
up until Jailbreak, she was kind of lacking in the character department. She was awesome, and she was really like super funny. But up until we found out about the whole fusion thing, which I hope that you don't mind, I'm assuming people have been spoiled already or already watched it.
I would hope if they're watching this, they've seen that.
But that little part, her being a fusion, like her being a result of two beings being madly in love with each other, just tipped her over the part and made her just awesome.
This is a little side conversation, but are Sapphire and Ruby like? Do you know if Ruby's a boy or a girl?
I'm going to go by the fact that the voice. I know this is the worst reasoning ever, but like because the voice actor is a girl, and it doesn't seem like she was doing the traditional "I'm a boy" voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that most female voice actors do for boys. And I'm just gonna go with the general that so far every gem except for Steven has been female, and they also refer to all of them as her, even though they don't have a gender. That's just kind of like the choice they used. I'm going to go with all gems are female except for Steven because he's half human.
Yeah, like
that's my personal headcanon.
This is probably also going to be controversial, but a thing that cartoons don't do, and it exists in real life, as harsh of and controversial of a topic as it may be, two gems being lesbian and fusing together to make something that amazing. That's something we've never seen before. Like in a cartoon. I mean, maybe you've seen it in anime, but in a Western thing like this, you haven't seen that. And that topped on with Connie and Steven kind of being in like a romantic thing, even though Connie's different colored skin than Steven is, which is another thing you don't really see in cartoons. This pushes a lot of boundaries for a cartoon about a guy who runs around with a whole bunch of gem people.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to get a lot of leeway with certain things because the gems are technically alien beings. It's really easy to argue, well, they don't have genders, so, but, I mean, obviously, they're clearly, Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl are clearly female characters, and they represent female characters. That doesn't take that away from it. It's a weird, argument would be like, well, they're actually aliens, but aren't these really strong female characters on television? Or are we taking that away from them, But, I think it's a new era for cartoons right now because between Over the Garden Wall, where Wart has the girl that he likes, I think was it Jenny? I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched it,
Laura,
but she was also black, of dark skin, and so I think this is a new era of dark skinned beauties.
Oh, I hope so because you see things like you see the controversy over that Cheerios commercial, I don't want to get too into this kind of preaching, but it's okay if skin color A likes skin color B. That doesn't change it at all, and a lot of people are pretty touchy about that, and I don't really like to, get touchy on my vlogs. That sounds horrible. That sounds...
No. Okay, first off, I'm going to touch it. Let's get some raciness in here.
Yeah.
Mixed babies are the most beautiful babies.
Yeah,
find one that's not beautiful.
Because when you find mixed baby, they have the most beautiful chocolate kind of milk chocolatey skin, and they just look so Girl talk with the ghost and the Gruppeteer is what this is now.
I mean, I'm just saying, love's beautiful no matter what. And if anyone, like, I don't know, that's why I look at it different lenses, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're probably steering away from Steven Universe.
Yeah,
Let's talk more about that.
Bring it back.
That's what people are here for.
Yeah, let's bring it back on track. Besides the gems, what other characters in the show do you really like?
I love Sadie for the fact that she's voiced by the Gooch from the Scrubs. You know what I'm talking about? From Garfunkel and Oates.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Is she?
Yeah, no. The entire cast is filled with really talented people that's done a lot of stuff.
Oh wow! I know. I know Mr. Smiley is voiced by someone famous, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I don't know. Someone along the lines of I think he's the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't remember.
Okay.
But
I know that all the gem fusion so far. I don't know about Alexandrite, but I hate Alexandrite's design, so I don't care. So I didn't research it. But like both Opal and Slugolite have been like famous musicians.
I know. I knew Nicki Minaj was one of them, but who was Opal? I didn't know she was a.
I don't remember her name, but I just know that like I was reading through the Steven Wiki and like. It was like, oh, this one person that actually has like a bunch of hit singles somewhere, like she's like a guitarist, like boom, you know, like oh that she did a guest spot, so we're never going to see fusions talk again. Is all I know.
Yeah, I guess, but it's awesome that like they go out of their way to like even okay, well most of them did have a song. I think Opal had a song. She sang "Giant Woman," didn't she?
Like for a moment, like when Steven's like, "Do you even recognize who I am?" She's like, "All you wanna do is see me turn into a giant woman."
Giant woman. He's like gets like real close to her. She's like, "Giant woman." Only a giant woman. But like that's so cool. Like they'd find voice actors who are known for the singing talents, even just for like a 2-second cameo. That's awesome.
Well, with Rebecca Sugar being a musician herself, you can definitely tell that like she's incorporating. I mean, that is the one thing about Steven Universe I love so much is that you can definitely tell where they're tapping into the little fandoms that she's into. Obviously, music plays a big part in Rebecca Sugar's life. You have all these chiptune video game-esque stuff. You know, she grew up with video games just like us, and you see all the references in the show, and then on top of all that, you have like this Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, early '90s anime influences everywhere. You know what I mean? Like that intro, that is Dragon Ball.
Yeah, it's actually. Do you know the song "Space Oddity" by David Bowie? Yeah. When I first heard the intro, like since I haven't heard it as much because I've become more accustomed to the intro, but I always thought it sounded a lot like that. Towards like the end of the song, that's just
okay.
But back to the characters. For me personally, the side characters, residents of Beach City, Onion's definitely a good comic relief character. Like he's a lot of fun, and I hope they expand more upon like his relationship with his dad. Because like there's a, I don't remember which one it is, but there's just one episode where Steven's just watching Onion and his dad like interact, and all they do is just like they say hi to each other and then they leave. And even though that's such like a quick moment, it's so important to Onion that it makes it like really cool. So I hope they expand upon their relationship because I think they could do some interesting things with that.
Yeah, I'm actually more interested in like seeing more Sour Cream and Onion interact with each other because it was hinted by Rebecca a long time ago that they might have some connection. And then in tonight's episode, which today is the day that they aired Joyride, he makes a direct reference to the fact that Yellowtail, Onion's father, is his stepfather. So they're stepbrothers.
Yeah, and definitely, especially with political power, I really like the direction they're taking with Mayor Dewey, who was at first not only a hilarious politician character, like with the red face and the tight neck and everything, but bringing in this like burden of responsibility he has to go with, especially in an episode as strong as political power. It was. I hope they do some more really good things with him.
Oh yeah, like I totally forgot about a lot of the side characters, to be honest. Up until about the Stephen Baum, they did a good job of reintroducing a lot of the concepts because a lot of them I forgot. Like the Wailing Stone that like first appeared in like Rose's room, totally forgot about it. And so it was just really nice for them to just kind of like every the shows. You definitely know they have a course. They know exactly where they're going with things, and they're able. They pre-plant. They put seeds and stuff and let it grow. There's no this like Deus Ex Machina where they just decide, to be cool. What if Amethyst just has a cane? She just has one randomly. It doesn't do that, and then it becomes relevant to the plot. She'll find a cane at one point, and then she's not finding a cane. That's a terrible reference. I'm bad at improv. Yeah. I'm a ghost.
He's a ghost. Don't blame him. Where'd he go? Where'd the ghost go? Ghost?
What? I'm here.
Oh, okay. I think you just went mute for a second.
No, I was trying to because I figured you wanted to respond, so I was like, I don't want to talk over him, Kim. It makes me seem rude.
Oh no, yeah, but we can talk over each other and stuff. This is a friendly zone, but on the coattails of what you said about like reestablishing characters, it's cool like if they have a character, and they want to bring it. Like, they want to bring them forward for another episode, like, say, political power. They don't just say Mayor Dewey's in 1 or 2 episodes. Like, yeah, that's Mayor Dewey. Let's go talk over here. They're like, Mayor Dewey is the mayor of the town. He's a little unsure about his job, but you want to know more, so we're going to sprinkle him in a few episodes, and then we're going to have one big episode, which is something they do a lot in Gravity Falls in the first season with Gideon's character. Like, he first comes in, he's an antagonist, and he does, the whole, I'll get you guys, but they don't forget about him until the episode where he comes back. They sprinkle him out, through those episodes, so he only further, develops his, rivalry with the family.
Yeah, no, both Gravity Falls and Steven Universe is really good at not down-talking to their audience. What's that?
Amazing shows.
They're so good.
Boom.
We're in such a good spot when it comes to cartoons. There was a little bit in the era for a little bit where I was just kind of like, I watched 1 or 2, but there is some really strong ones on television right now. Being a cartoon fan has never been so good. You know what I mean? Anyone that just does that, cartoons aren't as good as when I was a kid. You're not watching.
Yeah.
But they're so good at not talking down to the audience. Like Steven Universe, we figured out as a fandom that Steven's powers is activated by joy and love. Pure bliss.
Yeah.
They didn't say it. There's no there's Steven's shield. It must be because he loves Connie. It's not that. It's literally they don't mention it. It just happens, and it's these kids are smart enough. They can figure it out. And there's so much of that, and I love the fact that there's no really terrible expedition dialogue. It all feels supernatural and well written.
Yeah, a lot of people are. I'll say recently I to a big movie buff I know. I recommended that he watch Over the Garden Wall. Just it's pretty much the length of a movie if you watch every one. He's like, well, I don't know. I'm not really into kids cartoons kind of stuff, but. There was the argument, you're not into kids kind of stuff. You have your silly cartoons, you have your Johnny Tests, or the ones that just are, just there to fill your brain with entertainment for a quick period of time. But the argument, cartoons are kind of just a kid thing, isn't really as strong anymore as it was, back then. As you said before, with, the hinting and the ideas you should come up with, the writers are like, all right, kids have brains, let's make them use them. Just because they're sitting and watching TV doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to, put this piece together with this piece and find out this and that. So it's really cool that, there's Cartoon Network and Disney Channel, I guess, are hiring writers who aren't just let's make you some money. They're let's make things that people will want to watch. That might get us money, but more than that, it'll get people talking, and that's cool. We can talk about a show for almost 25 minutes right now just because we enjoy it like that. And it's cool that we couldn't do this like a few years ago with some of the cartoons on television. But we can do
Well,
it now, and it's cool.
Well, the thing about that is like television's a little bit weird because when cable first started happening and we had all these television shows, or not television shows, but like TV channels. You had Cartoon Network, Comedy Central, Tech TV, MTV, Music Television, all these different channels. There were niches. There was no like oh, this channel's for kids, this channel's for adults. No, that wasn't a thing. It was, this is a channel for people who likes cartoons. This is a channel that people love music. What happened was advertisers are like, well, we'll pay more for this type of demographic. And so TV channels started shifting and changing. So it's like, well, Cartoon Network, mostly kids are watching it. That's our biggest demographic. So let's start changing our television shows, our content to focus more on kids. So that's the whole thing. They developed cartoons for kids because kids were making up a pretty big thing. But Flintstones, that's not really a kids show. That is a sitcom. That's straight up just a family sitcom. It happens to be animated because it takes place in BC. And then music television, they were like, oh man, teenagers are watching that, so they dropped music because that wasn't keeping people on there. And they started making reality TV shows because that caught that demographic. Or you have Tech TV where it's like, well, mostly dudes watch it. Well, let's throw some Cops in the Man show on there.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything more to add to that, but yeah, pretty much. One thing I really like or dislike, mostly dislike about animation is it's not a genre. Like, it's not, you go on Netflix, you look up, the drama, comedy, animation. Like, that's what it's put in. It's put in a way of animation, but it's not. That's like putting a live action show in its own class. Like, in did you watch the Oscars this year?
I don't bother with award shows because they're just popularity contests.
Ooh, you heard him. You get him.
And
you
I'm
get
a
him,
ghost.
Steve. But I mostly watched it for the animation award, which wasn't given to the Lego Movie. Wasn't even nominated. I don't even want to talk about that. But that's a topic for another video. I don't even want to get into that. But when they came out to present the award, they said how important of a genre animation is. But it's not like that. It's not a genre. It's a art
It's a
form.
medium.
Yeah, it's an art form just as much as a live action or, I don't know, puppetry. Is that still a thing people use on TV?
Some people consider puppetry a form of animation.
I guess so. You could. I wouldn't say Sesame Street's really animation, but along those lines.
No, but no. It's a medium. It's because people tend to forget that what are movies, cartoon shows, and everything. They're stories. It's just a way to tell a story. And whether or not you choose it to be an adult story or a story for kids doesn't matter. It's not like there's live actions TV shows that are made for kids. That doesn't make live action for only exclusively kids. It's a weird it's just a misconception that people have, and it's kind of lame, Yeah. But I mean, there's definitely these outliers here. You have Over the Garden Wall. That is a show literally about the brink of death. That's not a kid's topic,
But it's not. But they don't flat out say, "Oh yeah, they're going through the underworld." Like, so since they don't come out say it, we pretty much went over this already. You got to use your mind to think about it, and that makes it for kids. That makes it for adults. Probably even more for adults than for kids, actually.
Mm-hmm. Over the Garden Wall. I need to rewatch that again. That was so good.
I've seen it at least 5 times. It's great.
Oh, I saw it a lot too. It's the reason why I actually started my podcast.
Oh, yeah. If we can get off Steven Universe for just a second. I think it's the simple shapes of the characters, like Wirt's like a triangle, Greg's like a circle, and shapes like that put against backgrounds that detailed, kind of like when I first saw it, I thought of like the old colonial pressed like engravings you'd see in old magazines from like the Boston Times and stuff. Like put in old Victorian settings like that just makes it look so good, and I just want to eat it. When he, we're gonna
Yeah,
have a
it's
ghost
definitely the
fight.
backgrounds that really sell a lot of these TV shows. Like the character designs, they're obviously always going to be a little simplified because you don't want the animator to hate themselves as they're animating. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The more detail you put into the character, the more lines you have to draw. And if you're drawing, 24 frames per second,
that's that's a fun one. Yeah.
mhm. But
So
have you ever like heard about shape theory?
I haven't.
Oh,
Ooh,
well, because
learn on
you
Gruppet
mentioned that
Studios.
like well, you mentioned that like wart is a triangle, right? And then you mentioned that like oh man, what's his
Greg.
Greg is like
Yeah.
it's basically a circle. It's there's three basic shapes when it comes to character design. You have the triangle, a square, and a circle. And a circle is kind of the most safe or round or naive. Like it tends to be very childlike because it's soft. It's non-threatening. So Greg is a very bubbly, soft character. You have Wart, who's made of circles and triangles. Triangles are kind of scary because they're nothing but points. They tend to be more aggressive and used for villains. Look at the Batman the Animated Series. You look at the Joker. His face is literally a triangle. If you look at it
Totally
like
ruined him.
abstractly, like his hair is a triangle, his face is triangle, his teeth is triangles, his nose is triangle. Batman, on the other hand, is a square. A square is a sturdy, strong, but safe thing. So Batman is something you can put trust in. So his jaw is literally a triangle, or sorry, a rectangle or a square. He's also threatening. If you look at his bat ears, eyes, and different things like that, they're made of triangles as well. So like it's something really cool. I teach like at a college right now, so this is one of the things that kind of pops up. I love theory on like shapes and stuff.
I did not know that, but that is so cool actually. Wow, that's really interesting. And thinking about that, this kind of off topic. Garnet's a square, Amethyst is a circle, and I guess you could say with her nose, Pearl is a triangle, kind of.
Hmm. You could take that even further by the fact that in this particular theory, shapes also get colors. I forgot what the guy's name is that designed the theory. Sorry, it just kind of escaped me. But it is a red square, a yellow triangle. You can argue that Pearl's kind of yellowish. And then you have the purple circle. And, like, they are clearly designed to be part of that. But there's just so much theory with the crystal gems. Between that, they all represent a type of, like, personality. They all represent different like their gems themselves are placed where they're the strongest. You have Pearl's mind, you have Garnet's strength, you have the wildness and the heart of Amethyst, and then obviously Steven works with his gut.
Yeah, sometimes literally. Uh, yeah. So, favorite episode, I guess. You had a favorite or favorites?
Oh, that's really tricky. Because there's so many really strong ones right now that just kind of came out. I mean, like, I'm kind of still on the high of Jailbreak and Return, so I kind of want to argue for that one. The Stefani episode obviously has a really, or the Alone Together has a really, like, special spot in my heart. The series?
Yeah. You're a great guys. You're a great guy, Stev. But I have to tell you, and before you come at me for this one, I've gotten plenty of hatred from everybody else from saying this one. I didn't really think Alone Together was that good of an episode, but I would love to hear before you throw ghost mantelpieces and stuff at me why you thought it was a good episode.
Oh, it's a terrible story. Like the
See,
actual.
You heard him say it.
No. As an actual story with a character arc and such, it's not that it's so low stakes, but it's not a story. That's the thing. It's a character study. It's literally just taking a moment to be in the head of Stefani. And a lot of Steven Universe episodes are like that. A few of them have low stake, no real actual like plot or main like big achievement to go over. There's a character arc. Clearly Stefani, the character, the two characters being together, they have this arc of social anxiety and kind of getting over that. Connie doesn't like to dance. but at the end, Connie does dance. She got over that fear. So she does have a character arc, but that's not the focus of it. The focus of it is being an experience, which Garnet said so herself. So that's why I love it so much. I can understand why someone wouldn't like it because it's not a traditional episode.
Yeah.
But it is. I think it is a very strong piece of what makes Steven Universe so good. Is the fact that it's not a plot-driven show; it's a character-driven show. I love character-driven shows, like Community, for example. In the early days, the plot was always like there's no like forced plot where the characters have to do something that they not normally would do for the sake of plot. This one, it's always what would this character do and move it forward. There's no out of character moments, and I don't know. What's your arguments against it?
I did this one. I did this one a while ago, and since I didn't like it, I didn't really come back to it. But from what I can remember, you did kind of hit it on the head. There's just no real There's no real like a story to it at all, and that really bugged me. Like they were dancing together, and the dancing animation. There's just one scene where they're just looking over the ocean, and like they look into each other's eyes, and it's cheesy, but like the ocean in the background is like sparkling. It looks amazing, and like at that part of the episode, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be a good episode. And then like they just morph together, and they go all crazy and stuff. And maybe it's just my awkward teenageness, but I found it really weird that the boy was morphed with the girl, and it just happened that naturally. I mean, I know it's a gem thing. They really didn't explain how it.
I can actually. It's one
you?
of those things you can kind of piece together by looking at. Let's look at all the fusions we have so far. You have Opal, Slugolite, Malachite, is it? Whatever Jasper and Lapis is together, and then you have Stefani. If you look at them all, and then you have Garnet. I don't know if I mentioned Garnet or not. With that, you have Garnet is clearly very humanoid, right? And Stefani is very humanoid. But you have these other ones where, like, Opal has 4 arms, really tall. You have Slugolite, who's very monstrous-like. You have Malachite. What's that?
And Nicki Minaj.
And then you have Malachite. Is that how you pronounce it? Do you know? They didn't say it in the show. But, like, she obviously is not good for each other. Garnet specifies that. She's a very monster-like thing. So, gem fusion, in my opinion, may not be a combat technique, but actually that's how they basically be in a relationship or marriage, in a way. So, like, the better the two entities are as partners, the better and more human-like and more natural they become. So, like, for example, Opal is Pearl and Amethyst, who they're opposites, and that means they kind of connect in a certain way. They definitely have a type of friendship that is very strong, and but they are rough against each other, and they're not perfect, so they still have the 4 arms and they're bigger. It's clearly shown that Garnet and Amethyst do not go well together. They're 2 extremes, and they're 2 personalities as a relationship. They're bad for each other. They bring out the worst.
If I may interrupt, after Jailbreak, I do wonder if that is because it is 3 gems morphing together. I don't know if that would be as perfect as 2 gems working together.
Mm-hmm. I think that's part of it. For poly relationships to work, where multiple people are part of a relationship, or if one person's participating in multiple, there's a lot of trust and a lot of different things that have to go into that for that to work. And clearly, those 3 don't work together. And then you saw with Alexandrite, which is one of the more monstrous forms, that's not even a coherent design. I really don't like that design at all. And I think that's because it's 4 gems of 4 different people not working together. And then Connie and Stefani, keep in mind that Steven's gem activates in pure bliss and love. So that means that his gem activated when they're dancing. They're dancing, which is one of the things that's required for the fusion. And he was feeling pure bliss, which activated. Because he's half human, that means he's going to have certain I honestly don't think he's going to be able to fuse with the other gems. I think he's only going to be able to fuse with humans, which is really, really interesting. And I think it's going to be really cool. I don't think we're going to see him fuse that often. It doesn't seem like, aside from Garnet, fusions, again, are basically relationships. And unless they're super necessary, I don't think we're going to see him that often.
Yeah. I like this just sounds like I'm being a bitter troll, but I really can't remember my arguments that much for the episode. I think it pretty much just was the incoherent, sporadic, going here, going there. And the joke just being that they're kind of fused together. I didn't think the joke worked that well, but seeing your side of the argument actually does open up, a little bit more of a door to me, I guess.
Yeah, well, I do have also my own complaints about it, but I'm a cynic. Like, I'm a guy that, like, I critique things. I look at it, and I'm self-aware enough to be able to look at both the good and the bad, One of my problems I did have with Stefani as a character is I really don't like it when they make characters where everyone falls in love with them.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just seems kind of off and weird and off-putting, but, like, seeing that every single teenage, no matter what gender, was in love with Stefani at some point. I mean, again, mixed babies are kind of the most adorable, so maybe that might have been it. But
I guess
that was my only real concern about that. It was just like, really, does Sadie and Lars both have to like her?
Yeah, I didn't remember that part. That is really weird. But for me, kind of without having to really think back to some of the earlier episodes, I remember there was one I did a vlog on a while ago, and I just adored it, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But kind of off the coattails of Jailbreak, I would say that is one of my favorite episodes. Although Political Power is, I really thought that was a good one too, in terms of character study and stuff.
I really like Rose's Scabbard as well. I think that one's a really strong one. That made me fall in love with Pearl so much more.
Yeah, the ending. I said this when I did the vlog of it, but I'll say it again. The ending scene where they're just riding away on the lion, and it's not any joke or anything. They're just riding away on the lion, and it kind of awkwardly stays on the shot for maybe a second or two more than it needed to, just to emphasize the point. It was just such a it doesn't seem, it's like a magical lion, a magical triangle lady, and a little boy walking away from a strawberry patch doesn't sound very beautiful at all. But in the context it was in, it was just such a perfect way to end the episode, and it was just such a beautiful way to end, just a beautiful image to end on, that I thought it really made the episode one of the standouts in the series so far.
Though that particular ending scares me a little bit, because if you're talking about where they're running and you just have really nice fluid animation of everyone kind of bobbing up and down,
yeah.
But you have Pearl kind of looking blank in the face.
Yeah, she's kind of she's a little concerned, but everybody else is happy. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that concerns me the most is that for the first time, Pearl didn't jump down to save Steven earlier in the episode. And in the most recent one, Steven brought it up, and I wasn't expecting this. In Joyride, Steven mentions that, I kind of want to talk to the, Amethyst, Pearl, and Garnet, but I think they might resent me for my mom being gone. And it's something that I thought, I mentioned in my own vlogs, was I think the Gems do, they obviously love Steven, and they're going to try to take care of him, but there is this fact that Steven existing does mean that they lost someone. And, Pearl obviously had a really strong connection with Rose, and I'm scared that, there's going to be a point where Rose is going to, or not Rose, but Pearl is going to snap, because you've already seen her with such raw emotions there, and then, just that blank face of, I'm riding on this meat child that was my commander, potential lover,
yeah. And I guess all that implies, because from what we've seen, it's probably a friendship. It's probably safe to assume it's a friendship, but they do have some moments where it does seem like maybe they were romantically a thing. I highly doubt it, because Rose was married, but they do have some moments where Pearl does act a little more sincere than friendship.
Well, I think it's more, maybe they didn't have a relationship, but I definitely think Pearl may have had a crush on Rose, but that might be me just putting my hetero, or my fantasies in there. But, one thing we do know is that they probably don't necessarily, like, they probably have like some kind of resentment or upsetness with Steven, but I think it all channels through Greg.
Yeah. I like Greg is a very likable character, but he's either really a hit or really a miss for me sometimes because like he cares so much for Steven and um he probably cares more than any other character in the show about Steven and like as much as I wish not that my dad is not awesome, but I wish my dad was like the cool kind of dad like that. But even then, like you see the cool side of him, but the cool side of him is really nothing compared to the burden of like his lost wife is the only reason his son exists, but he loves his son, but he loves his wife, and all that, and the gems kind of don't really regard him that highly either. So like there's a really even balance in Greg's character that I actually find surprising depth in.
Oh, Greg's one of my favorites. I love Greg so much. I did find out that no one else likes Greg as much as I do, because like I started doing vlogs like a week or two ago, and I noticed that I put Greg in two of the thumbnails, and both of those got significantly less views than Garnet and like I forgot who else I put. I think it was Rose. So it's like I guess people don't like Greg, but I love Greg. I think he's a very endearing, sympathetic character. I mean, he's basically homeless, taking care of a kid singly. I mean, obviously the crystal gems are basically like daycare 24/7, but like he doesn't have anyone to really like lean against on, and he's still trying to make his way. And just like Steven, I think he's a really good role model where Steven has a lot of like stuff put on him, but he's still cheerful, and I think it gets that a lot from his dad.
Mm. Yeah. And any other thoughts? I'm kind of out of the things to say.
I did want to touch upon the fact that in Joyride, like I said, Steven mentioned that like the how much growth Steven has had, where he's like, yeah, big giant things try to kill me. There might be more coming. I kind of want to talk to the crystal gems, but they might hate me, kind of. I thought that was really powerful, and it's just really cool to see Steven actually witness, take note, and realize the things happening around him. It's not like he like because it's really easy for writers to just like, oh well, he's a kid, he's not noticing stuff. But there's so many little elements where he shows so much maturity as a kid. He's doing what he can to help, and just as much as the crystal gems are taking care of him, like you see in the test, which probably is one of my favorite episodes as well. He's taking care of the gems as well.
Yeah. And while we're on the Joyride, the big question that I bet you guys are wanting us to answer is yes, Peridot is on Earth. She is free, young, wild, free, probably already in contact with other gems, and as Lapis Luigi, as we call her on Gruppet Studios, has said there's a homeworld base where a council of gems will decide their fate, which means there is definitely, let's say, a dozen more gems out there. Do you think that well, obviously it will amount to something really big. What giant thing do you think that will amount to?
I actually have a really fun fan theory about this. Well, first off, I really love the fan theory on that the leaders, like the big council, is all going to be different colored diamonds. Because you heard Jasper mention something about a yellow diamond. So I think we're going to get a lot of those. I think it's going to be really cool. Red diamond, white diamond, blue diamond. I think that's going to be awesome. And maybe they even do like a giant fusion to be like, an actual diamond, just regular diamond. But no, my big fan theory is that we saw that with the warship, we had a hand, right? The warship was just a hand.
Yeah.
But it clearly had living tissue in it. Like you saw that like all the vents were basically veins.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you take a look and you look at the Gems Palace, their home is also a giant person, right? And it even has a heart. We've seen in Together Breakfast, it has a heart section in its room. I think, honestly, we're going to get a giant mech fight at some point between their home. Like, it's going to be the spaceship. That's how they got there. And then whatever the more futuristic looking mechs are.
I can hope I can only dream we get Pacific Rim Steven Universe action going on. That would be so cool.
I would have went the symbiotic Titan route because I feel like that'd be closer. But yeah, Pacific Rim would be pretty cool.
Well, any closing thoughts?
I don't know. Just watch Steven Universe. If you want to see art videos, watch my stuff. I don't know.
Watch Steven Universe. Go watch StevRayBro. Go. How long is this video? 15 minutes long. Go outside and play. Even if it's freezing cold outside, it's springtime. Stev, thank you for abiding to my bribe, and I will most likely lay you out of the voodoo witch orb when I have a moment.
Are we pulling a genie here? Are you gonna be like, I'm gonna let you go, and then one movie over, I'm gonna be back?
Yeah, we're gonna poof. It was a poof over there. You missed it because the camera doesn't go over there. So thank you all for watching. Go check out Stev's channel. Go check out my channel. Don't check out my channel. You're already on my channel. Like, subscribe, or don't. Maybe you're a rebel. Definitely like and subscribe his stuff. Unless you're a rebel, because really, we don't control you here. So I will see you guys later. Stev, any farewell words?
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome. Click in the